the key to unlocking true confidence and control in your life. Have you ever felt like you're constantly giving, constantly saying yes to others, but somehow your energy keeps draining and you're left feeling unfulfilled or even frustrated? Maybe you found yourself in relationships or situations where you're not getting the respect or value you deserve, but you're afraid to walk away, thinking that you might lose something important. What if the secret to gaining more control over your life, feeling more confident, and building healthier, more meaningful relationships is learning to say no when it really counts? In this video, we're diving into some powerful Stoic principles that can transform the way you navigate your relationships, work, and personal well-being. We'll explore how to set boundaries, how to avoid desperation or overcommitment, and why walking away can be one of the most empowering things you can do for your peace of mind. By learning to respect your own energy and prioritize your own values, you can attract better opportunities, more fulfilling relationships, and a sense of inner strength that doesn't rely on the approval of others. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why self-respect is the foundation for everything you want in life. Whether it's a healthy relationship, more success at work, or simply feeling better about yourself. Let's get started on how you can start taking control today. 1. Masculine energy and dominance, a Stoic approach to confidence. As we age, particularly after 50, we often reflect on what truly matters in life, how we present ourselves, how we navigate relationships, and how we define our own sense of strength and purpose. One aspect of that strength is masculine energy, which goes beyond just outward appearances or societal expectations of masculinity. In Stoicism, true masculinity is about having a strong, steady presence, a calm mind, and an unwavering sense of purpose. Masculine energy isn't about trying to dominate others or impose power over them. It's about owning your own life, being self-reliant, and being at peace with who you are. Dominance, in this context, means taking the lead in your own life, making decisions based on your values, and showing confidence in your actions, whether in personal relationships or in professional settings. Women and those around you are naturally drawn to this type of energy because it signals stability, security, and the ability to lead with integrity. From a Stoic perspective, true masculine energy comes from self-mastery. The Stoics taught us that it is not the external world that should dictate our emotional state, but rather our ability to control how we react. When you have a strong inner foundation, you naturally project an energy that commands respect. This energy doesn't require you to assert yourself forcefully. It's about inner strength, not brute force. Think about the power of a leader who doesn't have to shout to be heard, or a man who doesn't need to constantly seek validation. True masculinity is about being comfortable with who you are and having the strength to stand firm in your beliefs without being swayed by others. The Stoic mindset of accepting what you cannot control and focusing on what you can allows you project a calm, strong presence without feeling threatened or insecure. For those of us over 50, embracing this form of dominance in our lives means prioritizing our own peace of mind, asserting our boundaries, and leading by example, not by force. It's not about trying to fit a mold, but about becoming the best version of yourself, a version that is rooted in self-confidence, emotional resilience, and integrity. Masculine energy is not something that can be faked. It is something that comes within, from years of self-reflection, growth, and understanding your own worth. 2. The power of walking away, embracing Stoic strength. As we age, particularly after 50, we often develop a deeper understanding of what truly matters in life. One of the most powerful lessons we can learn is the power of walking away. In relationships, whether personal or professional, the ability to walk away from a situation or person that does not serve you is a sign of strength, not weakness. This is a core principle in Stoicism, the idea that we must focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. Walking away doesn't mean avoiding conflict or running from challenges. Rather, it means recognizing when something is not aligned with your values or when you're being disrespected. For example, in relationships, especially those with individuals who might be manipulative, flaky, or emotionally unavailable, walking away is often the healthiest choice. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we must not let others' actions or emotions control our own. By choosing to walk away, you maintain control over your own emotional state and protect your peace of mind. When you walk away, You also signal to others that your time and energy are valuable. In the past, many of us may have stayed in relationships or situations out of a sense of obligation, fear of rejection, or simply wanting to avoid confrontation. However, as we mature, we begin to understand that boundaries are crucial to maintaining our well-being. Walking away from an unhealthy situation isn't about making a dramatic exit. It's about calmly and assertively removing yourself from circumstances that undermine your peace. The Stoic idea of indifference to what we cannot control is central to this concept. If someone disrespects you, manipulates you, or doesn't meet your standards, you have the power to walk away. This doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong because it shows that you value yourself enough to not tolerate behavior that harms your emotional health. By doing so, you create space for relationships that are built on mutual respect, understanding, and genuine connection. At this stage in life, walking away becomes an act of self-respect and self-preservation. It's about protecting your energy and investing in what truly matters. In the long run, walking away from negativity and toxic situations is one of the most powerful decisions you can make for your own emotional freedom and happiness. 3. Setting boundaries, a stoic path to self-respect and healthy relationships. As we navigate through life, particularly after the age of 50, the importance of setting boundaries becomes clearer than ever. Boundaries are not just about protecting ourselves from negative influences. They're also about defining what we value and creating a space where we can thrive emotionally, mentally, and physically. In Stoic philosophy, the concept of setting boundaries is closely tied to self-mastery and personal virtue. It is through clear boundaries that we demonstrate our self-respect and take control of our lives. Setting boundaries means recognizing and defining what is acceptable behavior from others and being unafraid to communicate it clearly. It is not about being harsh or controlling, but about respecting yourself enough to not tolerate behaviors that compromise your well-being. Whether in relationships, work environments, or social situations, boundaries allow us to define our limits and uphold our values. For instance, when dealing with relationships, especially as we get older and become more aware of our emotional needs, setting boundaries helps protect our mental health. If you're constantly giving your time and energy to people who take without giving back, or someone consistently disrespects your space or values, it's essential to draw a line. The Stoic mindset teaches that we should not be reactive to others' behavior, but instead proactively manage our responses. By clearly communicating your boundaries, you're not only preserving your peace of mind, but also teaching others how to treat you. The power of setting boundaries goes beyond simply saying no. It is an act of self-respect and emotional maturity. It is a recognition that your time, energy, and emotions are precious, and you must safeguard them. By setting limits, you can ensure that your relationships remain healthy and that your energy is directed toward pursuits and people that truly contribute to your growth and happiness. As we age, we often become more comfortable with who we are and what we need. Setting boundaries, in a way, is an act of empowerment. It shows that you value yourself enough to not tolerate anything that does not align with your values. Embrace this practice, and you'll find that by respecting your own limits, you naturally attract others who also respect you. It's not about being rigid or uncompromising, but about maintaining your integrity and ensuring that you live a life that is true to your deepest principles. 4. Saying no, the power of assertiveness in relationships. As we grow older, especially after the age of 50, we often develop a deeper understanding of what truly matters in life, what we value, how we prioritize our time, and who we allow into our lives. One of the most important lessons we can learn, and one that is often overlooked, is the power of saying no. This simple word holds immense power in protecting our emotional well-being and maintaining our boundaries. In Stoic philosophy, the concept of saying no aligns with the idea of self-control and emotional resilience, the ability to manage our actions and responses without being swayed by external influences. For many of us, especially those who have spent years trying to please others or maintain peace in our relationships, saying no can feel uncomfortable or even difficult. We may worry about disappointing people, fearing that we'll be seen as rude or unkind. However, the truth is, saying no is a powerful tool for self-respect and self-preservation. When we say no, we are asserting our own needs, acknowledging our personal limits, and protecting our time and energy. In relationships, whether personal or professional, it's crucial to recognize that we cannot be everything to everyone. It's easy to fall into the trap of saying yes to every request or obligation, but over time, this can lead to burnout, resentment, and a loss of control over our own lives. Stoic teachings remind us that we have control over our own actions and emotions, and saying no allows us to protect that control. When we say no to things that don't serve us or align with our values, we're showing that we value our own time and well-being. Saying no also teaches others how to treat us. When we consistently say yes, we may unintentionally invite others to take us for granted. But when we stand firm in our decisions, we send a clear message that we respect ourselves and expect the same from others. It's not about being obstinate or selfish, but about ensuring that our relationships and commitments align with our true values and priorities. In the end, saying no isn't just about rejecting external requests. It's about embracing self-respect, personal growth, and emotional independence. It's a vital tool in protecting our emotional health and creating a life that is aligned with our true purpose. So, don't be afraid to say no when it's necessary. By doing so, you'll find greater peace and fulfillment in all areas of your life. 5. Avoiding desperation, a stoic approach to relationships and self-worth. As we age, particularly after 50, the dynamics of relationships and personal connections often shift. At this stage in life, it becomes increasingly important to cultivate a sense of self-worth and emotional independence. One of the most significant dangers we face, especially in romantic or social relationships, is desperation. The desire to find validation or approval from others can lead us to settle for unhealthy relationships or tolerate behaviors that undermine our self-respect. In Stoic philosophy, the concept of avoiding desperation is rooted in self-control, self-awareness, and the understanding that our worth is not dependent on others' opinions or acceptance. Desperation often arises when we place too much emphasis on external validation, particularly in our relationships. When we find ourselves constantly seeking approval or trying to win others' affection, we start to lose sight of our own value. Stoicism teaches that true happiness and fulfillment come from within, not from relying on the approval of others. If we depend too heavily on the opinions or affections of others, we risk becoming emotionally dependent, and this can lead to feelings of inadequacy when those needs aren't met. Avoiding desperation means learning to be emotionally self-sufficient. It's about understanding that your value is not determined by how others see you, but by your own sense of integrity and self-respect. Instead of chasing after love, approval, or attention, Stoicism encourages us to focus on becoming the best version of ourselves. When we prioritize our own growth, well-being, and values, we naturally attract relationships that align with our true selves, rather than desperately trying to fit into someone else's expectations. Desperation can also cause us to accept toxic behavior or settle for relationships that are not fulfilling. When we feel the need to cling to someone out of fear of being alone or rejected, we ignore the red flags and tolerate unhealthy dynamics. The Stoic approach encourages us to trust that inner peace and self-reliance are more valuable than pursuing a relationship at the cost of our emotional well-being. By avoiding desperation, we free ourselves to make choices that align with our values and lead to more fulfilling relationships. It's about embracing patience, self-control, and a strong sense of identity. Ultimately, by focusing on our own personal development, we attract relationships that respect us for who we truly are, not for what we think others want us to be. 6. Building emotional independence, a Stoic approach to inner strength. As we mature, especially after the age of 50, one of the most powerful gifts we can give ourselves is the ability to build emotional independence. This means cultivating the ability to manage our own emotions, respond to life's challenges with resilience, and no longer depend on others for our emotional fulfillment. In Stoicism, emotional independence is seen as a cornerstone of self-mastery. It's not about isolating ourselves or detaching from others. It's about developing the strength to remain centered and grounded, regardless of external circumstances. Emotional independence is essential because it allows us to take control of our own happiness. Too often, we rely on other people or situations to dictate our emotional well-being. When we place our happiness in the hands of others, whether it's a partner, family member, or friend, we give away our power. We become susceptible to their actions, words, and moods, which can lead to feelings of insecurity or frustration. Stoicism teaches us that we are in control of our responses and that we can choose how we react to whatever life presents. By developing emotional independence, we learn to respond to situations rather than react impulsively or based on fear. One of the key elements of emotional independence is self-awareness. By taking time to reflect on our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, we can better understand what drives our emotions and how we can regulate them. This practice aligns with Stoic teachings, which emphasize the importance of introspection. The Stoics believe that we should strive to be objective and rational in our emotional responses. This doesn't mean suppressing feelings, but instead acknowledging them without letting them control us. Building emotional independence also involves setting clear boundaries and learning to prioritize our own needs. As we grow older, it becomes even more important to know what we need for our emotional well-being and protect those needs. This can mean saying no to situations or people that drain us, making time for self-care, or seeking support when necessary without becoming dependent on others for validation. Ultimately, emotional independence leads to inner peace and freedom. It allows us to approach relationships, work, and life with a sense of calm, knowing that our happiness is not dependent on anyone else. In the Stoic tradition, this independence is seen as essential for personal growth and resilience. By building emotional independence, we create a solid foundation that allows us to face life's challenges with strength, grace, and a deep sense of inner fulfillment. 7. Avoiding overcommitment. A Stoic approach to balance and boundaries. As we grow older, especially after 50, we often realize the importance of balance in all aspects of our lives. One of the key principles that can help us maintain this balance is the idea of avoiding overcommitment. In Stoic philosophy, living a life of moderation and self-awareness is essential to maintaining emotional and mental peace. Overcommitting, whether in relationships, work, or social obligations, can lead to burnout, frustration, and a loss of personal autonomy. By understanding our limits and setting clear boundaries, we can preserve our energy, focus on what truly matters, and avoid the negative consequences of overcommitting. Overcommitment often happens when we feel the pressure to meet everyone's expectations, or when we try to please others at the expense of our own well-being. It's easy to say yes to every request, whether it's from family, friends, or colleagues, because we want to be seen as reliable, supportive, or liked. However, this desire to be accommodating can quickly turn into a burden, leaving us feeling drained and overwhelmed. Stoicism teaches us that true strength comes from knowing our limits and being willing to say no when necessary. It's about recognizing that we don't have to be everything to everyone, and that our peace of mind is more important than seeking constant approval or validation. Avoiding overcommitment also means recognizing the importance of quality over quantity in relationships. In our personal lives, we may feel compelled to attend every social event or help others at all times, but doing so can spread us too thin. Instead of overcommitting to numerous people and obligations, we should focus on investing deeply in a few relationships or pursuits that truly align with our values and bring us fulfillment. The Stoic approach encourages us to cultivate meaningful connections rather than trying to please everyone or constantly being available. In work and personal responsibilities, avoiding overcommitment is equally important. We may feel the need to take on every project or say yes to every opportunity, but this can lead to diminishing returns. Stoicism teaches that we should focus on what we can control and make choices based on our highest priorities. By avoiding overcommitment, we free ourselves to direct our energy toward what is truly important, whether that's personal growth, meaningful relationships, or achieving our long-term goals. Ultimately, avoiding overcommitment is a path to maintaining emotional resilience and personal well-being. By setting clear boundaries, prioritizing our time and energy, and recognizing our limits, we can live a life that is more balanced, fulfilling, and in alignment with our true values. Empower yourself and take control today. Now that you've learned the power of setting boundaries, saying no, and walking away when necessary, it's time to take action. Your time, energy, and peace of mind are invaluable, and by prioritizing them, you create space for what truly matters: healthy relationships, personal growth, and emotional resilience. Remember, you are in control of your life. When you stop overcommitting and start respecting your own needs, you not only show others how to treat you, but you also demonstrate that you value yourself. If you found these Stoic principles helpful, it's time to reflect on your own life. What boundaries can you set today? What will you say no to in order to protect your energy and emotional well-being? I encourage you to take that first step towards a more empowered, balanced life. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep learning about building stronger relationships, gaining emotional control, and living a life aligned with your values, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Share your thoughts or your experiences in the comments. I'd love to hear how these principles are making an impact on your life. Take control, embrace your inner strength, and always remember, you deserve a life where you are valued, respected, and at peace. Keep growing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.